Well, good morning and welcome into another segment of Juice Box Chats. Alyssa Harrington and I have a very special guest today. I want to introduce everyone to, Angela Moser.
Mm-hmm.
She's a physician's assistant from Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology Associates. So, Angela, great to have you here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Yes. Alyssa, how are you doing today? How's your week been?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's good. Today is my Friday, so that's kind of nice always. But yeah, it's been going good, kind of busy, but this weather has kind of been a little bit up and down. We're going to be out at the ball field this evening, and another opportunity to just add on to the allergy effects for our family.
Yes, that's what we're talking about today. Just how bad the allergy season has been for a lot of folks. I don't know about you guys, but I've heard a lot of people really complain about it this year. I myself, knock on wood, have not developed allergies in my lifetime. Alyssa, do you have allergies?
I feel like when I moved to Nebraska, I came from Colorado to Nebraska, and I did start to have some issues a little bit with like the post-nasal drip, that kind of thing. But my husband and my daughter do suffer from allergies, and exactly what kind of allergies those are, I'm not entirely sure. But my daughters have been kind of acting up for a bit now, and my husband, he coaches track outside, and he's outside a lot, and he'll have the itchy eyes and that kind of thing, and he'll oftentimes get sinus infections. My daughter, she has eustachian tube dysfunction like I do, and so her eustachian tubes will kind of close up, and she'll have trouble hearing, is a lot of times how her allergies will affect her if they're really flaring up. So we've, just kind of done what we can to mitigate some of those symptoms. But yeah, it's always so hard, and you never know exactly what to do, and so many of them take so long to start to take effect. So it can be kind of frustrating, to say the least, when it comes to dealing with allergies, especially with kids.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess my question for you, Angela, because I know that people can develop allergies later in life, how can you tell when you're starting to develop allergies and it's not just a cold? Like, what is the difference there? How can folks tell?
Yeah, it can be really hard to tell, especially this time of year. I mean, even with my own family, sometimes someone will start getting the sniffles, and I think, is this a cold? Is this allergies? What is going on? But usually with allergies, those symptoms will persist. It's not going to just last a few days or a week and then run its course. It's going to keep going and going. Or if you see that your kid is having trouble the same time every year, where it really starts to become a pattern where you're sick every spring or every fall, that's a clue that allergies might be involved. So.
Gotcha. Okay. And then also, of course, there's certain triggers, like Alyssa, you talked about maybe the dust that your husband is around on the track field or things like that. Yeah. Or I know for some folks in our meteorologists, they always give for like tree pollen or weeds and things like that. What are some other triggers that you find that you see pretty common for people?
Yeah, I mean, the timing of symptoms can kind of give you a clue as to what you might be allergic to. So some people have year-round allergies to things like their pets, or dust mite is a really common year-round allergy. But then for the pollens, in the springtime, it's usually tree pollens or sometimes some of those outdoor molds that bother people. And then in the midsummer, more grass pollen. And then in the fall, that's really weed allergy season and ragweed season. So depending on when you have trouble, you can get an idea of what those allergies might be.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Angela, I had a question for you. When you're talking about dust mites, that's something that's in the home. What's a good way to kind of try and mitigate some of that and keep it at bay the best you can? Because maybe some people don't even know that that's what they're allergic to. And so if they're trying to test different things out, how can they kind of help get rid of that?
Yeah, it's a really common allergy, and it's not like the dust that you see on your furniture. It's not that you're not a clean housekeeper or anything like that, but dust mites are in all of our homes. They're mainly concentrated in our bedrooms, so in your bed, your pillow, your mattress, carpeting, those sorts of things. So you can get dust mite covers that can go on your pillow and mattress that'll kind of put a barrier between you and that allergen. Even just washing the bedding on a regular basis in hot water can make a big difference. And then just cutting down on the amount of extra fabric stuff, the carpet and the heavy drapes, or if you have kids, like there are piles of stuffed animals and clothes all over the floor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kids come with a lot of stuff.
Yes. A lot of mess.
Yes, your mother as well. You know that well. So, yeah, I kind of related to that, too, like Alyssa asked. I know there's special tests that folks can come in and have done to see, like, what they're allergic to. At what point do you really know that you should come in and have that done, or you should see a doctor and take that next step?
I always think testing is a good idea, especially for kids. We can really do allergy tests on kids of any age, but it just gives you some really good information. If that kid has symptoms that are really persistent or they're becoming really bothersome and disruptive to their life, then I think it's a good idea. And it just gives you more information so you can be more proactive. You can kind of anticipate what time they might struggle and start medication earlier, so you're not just trying to catch up all the time.
Yeah. That's
And
very
Angela,
true.
when it comes to these testings, my husband and I were kind of talking about it for my daughter, and he said she doesn't even like getting her finger pricked. Do you think she would want to do one of those? So maybe we have a misconception of what that testing might look like for children. So what can a parent expect?
Yeah, that's a good question. It sounds kind of intimidating, but it's really not. It's a very simple test, and it's really pretty quick. So in our office, we usually will try to do what we call scratch testing or prick testing, but it doesn't involve any big scary needles. We use these little plastic brackets that have pokey ends, and we just use those to put those allergens on your back. And they just need to sit on your skin for about 15 minutes, and then they get wiped off, and we have instant results. So
Interesting.
It's really quick. Most kids do really well with it. The hardest part is just keeping them still for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And their back might get a little itchy, but it's really not painful or something that you should really stress out about.
Yeah. You talked about the itchiness a little bit there. My daughter, I haven't really noticed that she has allergies, but she was rolling around the grass the other day and she just got a little itchy. Who knows what she got into or what bugs kind of bit around. But do you have recommendations of like over-the-counter things that parents can get to kind of help mitigate some of these symptoms of allergies? Just kind of more of the common ones if they're not quite to that level of needing a medication from a doctor or something like that.
Sure. There's a lot of really great over-the-counter allergy medicines available, and you can really kind of match that to what symptoms are bothering the most. So there's some good over-the-counter eye drops that can help with the itchy eyes and the watery eyes. So ketotifen or olopatadine would be some that you can just buy. Some of the oral antihistamines can be really helpful for sneezing and runny nose and the itchiness too. We do prefer using some of those newer antihistamines, so we're kind of getting away from using like the Benadryl and some of those older antihistamines. They just don't last as long, and they can cause more side effects. Some kids, it makes them really drowsy. Other kids, it makes them kind of hyper. So the newer medicines tend to work better with less side effects. And then there's also nose sprays. If you can get your kid to cooperate with using a nose spray, they can be really helpful. But if none of those things are working, or if you've tried some different things, it's probably good to chat with your pediatrician or come see us at the allergy office, and we can help kind of tailor those medicines a little bit better to what's going on.
Yeah, I have a feeling I would have to hold my child down for like a nasal spray. I know I have
sprays, we've tried that. She can do it. She doesn't mind doing it. It's just, it's an unpleasant taste going to the back of your throat. But I think the one that we had her use, or that it was a prescribed like steroid type. But and correct me if I'm wrong here, Angela. I believe it was a steroid, but it wasn't supposed to take effect for weeks, and so that was kind of frustrating because you want those instant results, especially when you're dealing with a kid who's having trouble hearing because of allergy symptoms and eustachian tube issues, and then when your only other option is tubes again. So you want to do the latter, but it just takes so much time, and you have to do it twice a day, and remember, and just that repetition, and just not having that instant result and gratification can be frustrating for the child and then us as the parent as well. So do you see that often? Do you have any tips to kind of help with that, or any insight?
I do, and that can be frustrating because some of those medicines, like the nasal steroid sprays, they don't help instantly, and it can take a week or two or longer of daily use to really get good effectiveness. And I think a lot of people give up on those medicines too soon, or they're just not able to be as consistent with them as they should to get the best results. But really starting those medicines early in the allergy season and then continuing with it daily will work a lot better than just using them off and on those bad days. And making sure that you're using the most effective dose that you can. And that's a place where your doctor or allergist can help too, to make sure you're really maximizing those medicines as much as you can. So
that's got to be hard.
Right. Can I go back real quick to what you were talking about when you said newer medications? What kinds of brands would you be talking about if we were saying rather than like a Benadryl?
So usually we recommend like a Zyrtec or Claritin or Allegra or Xyzal or the generic versions of any of those medications, because those are all 24-hour antihistamines, so you only have to take them once a day, and they're not going to cause a lot of drowsiness or those other side effects.
Interesting. And I do want to mention as well, we are live on our 1011 TikTok right now. I know some folks are watching. If you have any questions for Angela while she's here, I can see your comments. So this would be your time to shoot those in or say hi. But Angela, I had another question for you as well. I've just heard from a lot of my mom friends that this season especially has been really bad. What kind of numbers are you guys seeing at the clinic? Are you seeing more than normal, would you say, or is it a pretty average year?
Well, I feel like every year it seems like, oh, this is the worst allergy season we've had, and then the next year feels even worse. But the weather this year has been kind of up and down, and so it's been a little bit more sporadic, where we'll have really high pollen days, and then it'll decrease again, and it's kind of up and down. But now with the nice weather, the pollen's been high, and it's going to stay high for at least a while before it starts trending down again. So we're kind of getting to the peak now.
So it's your busy season.
It's our busy season for sure. I love the nice weather, but I know it'll be busy at work.
Everybody stock up on those meds for the next month or so.
Yes, hit all the sales, go to Costco, get the multi-pack for sure.
Get ready. And then right quick, too, I wanted to ask you, we are trying to come up with things, to reduce those triggers in the home. We have an air purifier at our home, and I'm sure it depends on what brand you buy, how good of a system you buy. But do you find that those make a pretty good impact for people when it comes to home allergens, at least?
It can make a difference, especially with some of those indoor allergens. If you have a pet allergy or a dust mite allergy, you want to make sure that if you have an air purifier, it's the right size for the room or the space that you're trying to use it in, so that it's able to filter effectively. But for the outdoor allergies too, I mean, some of the easy things you can do are just keeping the windows closed. It's tempting to open everything up, but keep the windows closed, run the air conditioner in the car too. When your kids come in, have them leave their shoes and their sweatshirts at the door. Have them take a shower before bed just to rinse that pollen off their hair and off their skin.
Yeah. That's a hard one for me. I love sleeping with the windows open.
Me too.
But I have noticed, when I do that, I'm a little stuffy in the mornings, even if I'm not an allergy sufferer. I feel like I wouldn't label myself as. It still affects you when you sleep with the windows open and that air coming in all night. So well, I haven't seen any questions yet on our TikTok. Alyssa, did you have any more questions for Angela?
I guess, do you have any suggestions? I don't know for specifics the exact allergen that my husband can be affected by, but we are just right across the street from a cornfield, and so keeping the doors and windows closed at times, we do. My husband does love, and I do too, to have those open. But do you have suggestions then if somebody might be dealing with that, or just a lot of that dust? Just cleaning often, cleaning those. We try and clean the air filters very often is something that we also do in our house.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea too, is making sure you're changing out your filters on a regular basis. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to avoid that exposure completely, especially when you're in an environment that's really dusty or, you're outdoors a lot. But if you can cut back on that exposure a little bit, it should make a difference. And I would say maybe that is a time where he should have allergy testing too, because then you can find out, is it the corn? Is it mold in the fields? Or, what exactly is the trigger there?
Sometimes I feel like allergies are such an invisible enemy. You don't quite know who you're fighting, but it's causing issues in your household. But yeah, I hope folks learned some things today and maybe got some tips, or at least, if you're suffering or if your children are suffering from allergies, you're not alone.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Angela. It's been great information and so nice to have you with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yes, again, Angela Mosier. She's a physician's assistant from Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology Associates. So if you need to go get your allergy test, you'll have to go visit her.
I'm here.
Yes, thank you so much for coming in. And then also, Alyssa, for next week, we're planning on talking about recycling and sustainability efforts when you're teaching your kids, because our next Juicebox Chats is right between Earth Day and Arbor Day.
Yes, it is. It'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. A topic that I have a lot of experience with when it comes to recycling. We recycle in our home, so it should be a good one for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to chatting with you next week. Angela, thanks again.
Thank you.
Yep. We'll see you next week, Alyssa.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you guys.
1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.